November 10th Township Board Business Meeting. Let's do the pledge first. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I just want to say tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I appreciate everyone who is serving, has served. We understand, I think, now that freedom isn't free, and I thank all of you. I really do. My son was a captain in the United States Marine Corps, and Jameson is active right now, and I see what they went through, and I see what they go through, and I can't say enough. I really can't. So I thank all of you, and let's move on with the meeting. We have a lot of changes tonight. Brian, please make sure we get everything here. For the additions to the agenda, we're going to need to add action item number 9, transmission rebill authorization.
So move.
This is just to put it on as number 9. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Second.
Oh, we didn't get a second. I'm sorry. Mickey, did you get a
I'll
second?
second.
Yeah. I thought she did.
Joe, I saw it about right after it says number on the printed sheet. It says number 9. Is there something I'm missing or not understanding here?
Well, it's going to be added to number 8 down there on the action items, Bill, and will be now number 9 as an action item.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
All right, sir.
8 and 1 is 9.
Yes, sir. Okay, we're going to add action item number 10, dumpster enclosure.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, number 10 now will be dumpster enclosure. Now we got to go to 11. We are going to add employee compensation and classification consulting services bid award.
So move. Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, so we have 9, 10, and 11 added. Now we need some deletes. Need to delete action item number 1, which is the DTE Emergency Technology Fund Grant. Need
So
a
moved.
Second.
Okay, got a second?
Second.
Reason is the paperwork is not in yet. We can't go, so we can't put it on. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, motion carried. Let me mark that real quick. That is done. Okay, I'm going to do both these together unless anyone does have a an issue with this, then we can do it separately, but we'd like to delete action item number 3, the rescind board decision, and action item number 4, which is putting it back on and voting for it for the zoning text amendments. I'm going to do 3 and 4 together. Can I get a motion unless somebody has an issue with those?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you very much.
Are we going to cover those tonight or no?
No, we're not, because it needs more research. Since we got a second and yeah, it needs more research than someone asked who's handling it. He's got to get some more answers. So that's no problem. I want it done right. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
That's 3 and 4, right, Joe?
3 and 4 both are now gone for action items. Okay. I got 3 and 4. I got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Brian. You got it all. Thank you. You're also a mind reader. Good. Okay, now I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye for the
Aye.
amendment.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carried as amended. That is now the agenda. Okay, we have a presentation first tonight. Our airport manager, Janel, would you like to come up, please?
Well, hello, everyone. How are you?
Hello.
Oh,
Brian said I can only do this in 10 minutes, so.
I'm sorry, what?
This has been an ongoing joke with us because sometimes it takes a little time, but I will do my best. Ask questions, stop me at any time, but thank you for having me tonight. Wanted to touch base on our airport capital improvement plan and how we work on that from start to finish, kind of with the state of Michigan and myself in conversations with the Airport Commerce Park Commission. So one of the action items you're going to see tonight is on your display right now. And this is a taxiway Charlie, Echo, and Foxtrot joint seal, which will be discussed later on, but I figured I might as well address it right now. So in essence, this project will be starting in springtime. The total cost for the project is $448,000, or $448,788. As you can see on the screen, our local share for this is $0. Kind of a rare occasion, but the way that they call it bill funding, or now IJA funding, is happening right now, the local share for us is nothing. So they covered it 100%. So we're trying to capitalize on those grant opportunities. So moving forward, does anybody have any questions with this? Because it is part of the action item. I just wanted to point that out now since it's on display. So if anybody has any questions, now's kind of the time to address that. So. No. So back on October 15th, we have what we call a MAP meeting. And so we sit together, it's an annual meeting that we have with the state of Michigan, myself, and our airport consultant. And so as you know, our airport consultant is CNS, and they sit with us. We look at our entitlement fundings, all of our federal fundings, and we collectively say, all right, well, how are we going to move forward in order to continue to maintain our surfaces? What are the priorities? How are we going to justify it? What does it look like over the next 5 years? So we sit down and we start to really break down, okay, how are we going to do this together and get you the most improvements over the next 5 years? And this is based on really the FAA order, we have FAA orders and regulatory things that we're responsible for when it comes to our surfaces.
you know,
Sure.
months ago, you and I were in a meeting with a lady from, I don't remember where, and I'm asking if what you're talking about now is that meeting where you were talking about surfaces all over and the priorities and the grants coming together. Was I attending something akin to this?
Correct. Correct.
Sharp, ladies and gentlemen.
Correct. So usually this process takes a couple of months to go through the whole process from start to finish in order to figure out how we're going to get the funding and to do these projects. And it's not really from one bucket, and I'll kind of talk about that. So in this draft ACIP meeting, we want to look at what kind of airport are we, who are we competing against. And I did this presentation actually for the state of Michigan and making sure that we are all on the same page moving forward. But it's important to note that we're 201 out of 224 airports, public airports, that are competing for this money in just the public sector. So if you are in a NEPIAS airport, you're competing at a different level, right? And so you have to compete. And out of the 486 airports, it's a lot of airports to compete for discretionary funding or other funding sources. So one of the things that they always want to know is, where are you and what are you doing at your airport? How active are you? So they take a look at what's going on. So these are just some of the brief snippets of what I've done over the past year, which is going down to Detroit and trying to work in this new air advancement in air mobility space and moving forward with that, talking to the Brownfield Conference and going to all of these different events. They want to know, how are you doing as far as what's going on your airfield? Do you work with the public safety department? Do you help out with training? Do you look at your emergency response plan, what training do you do? We do all of that here. And what is your community involvement? And so they look at all of these different things when you're having conversations. So then they say, okay, well, how are we going to approve these projects? What kind of facility goals? And how do you base your facility goals? So they provide us what they call like a PCI report, which is a pavement management plan. So they want you to look at that report, and from that report, they want you to decide how you're going to move forward in all of these different projects. It's a spotlight,
Yeah, I noticed that too.
the strobe light. So they really take this all in the whole big picture, and with the size airfield we have, there's a lot of maintenance that we need to do out there on a regular basis and make sure that we're doing the best we can based on the funding allocations that we have in order to do so. So then they want you to look at, okay, well, how are you with your inspection and your licensing? Are you being in compliant? And are you really looking at the drone data that we provide you during that time in order to make sure that you're in compliance with your state and regulatory requirements? And then they always want to know, okay, so this is where you are, where are you going? And as you all know, I have a big, thing in my heart for advancement in air mobility, and so there's a lot of movement moving forward, which we'll talk about at a later date. So then they say, okay, well, here are all your projects, and if you had an endless supply of money, how are we going to fund you? So let's look at these different buckets that you have for funding. And sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not. So this is kind of what their development standards are as far as what their requirements are and how they're going to help you break it down. I won't go into major detail with this but most importantly, so when you're going through this infrastructure, they want you to look at, okay, well, what does the pavement management program look like? And how do we move it forward for you to make sure that you are in compliance with your federal grant requirements? So look at your requirements. How are you going to stay in compliant? And we here at the state of Michigan are going to provide you with what they call this PCI report. And then that meets the need of grant assurance number 11. With knowing that you are going to continue to do daily drive-bys, and that's our only responsibility when it comes to that PCI report, right? Which is your pavement condition index. So when you're looking at your PCI report, what they'll say is, okay, so the green is good. Well, the dark green is really good, which was a $5.5 million project that we just did 2 years ago, I guess, right, Derek? 3 years ago? So that was a $5.5 million project that we got. So moving forward, and you can see that the project that is on for tonight, or that action item, is this taxiway here. It's in the green, but they want to keep it in the green. And so they don't want to get to a point where they have to do a rehab or a full reconstruction on it. So they want you to prioritize making sure that you're maintaining your surfaces that you can successfully accomplish within that 5-year program. So you'll see that, and I'll talk about this a little later, but you'll see how we started making decisions for the next couple of projects over the next couple of years. Maybe. And this is just a report that says this is how we did it. It's based on the PCI, whether we are going to do rehab or reconstruction or rehabilitation. This is how we pick it. They always want to know, okay, well, what have you guys done as far as your recent corrections? So over the year 2024, 2025, we've spent about $83,000 in just making sure we're doing what we're federally obligated to do, making sure that you're keeping your surfaces and it's a whole slew of things like your navigational aids, so on and so forth, moving or working properly. And as far as our tree removal and weed control, and this is based on our monies that we pay our employees to do this also. So And then they want you to make sure that you keep in consideration your navigational aids, obstructions. They want those in functioning working order also. This is the emerging aviation, which is something that's, I was going to talk about, which is that DTE grant that we removed. So this is just talking about that. This is the different types of funding sources that are available for us and how we decide with the state of Michigan what bucket we're going to put the funding sources in. And then what they end up doing is they say, okay, well, here are the different funding sources. You can use your AIP, you can use IJA, you can use the state local programs, or in this case, there's a PCI, but they pay for that. So that's kind of just a brief overall summary. Some of these conversations we have, this was more for my conversations with the state of Michigan, but I left it on here because it's important to know that when we're looking at these projects, we'll look at the total pavement removal in order to figure out what projects, how we're going to prioritize them, and then piece them apart and then put them back together and say, okay, this is what makes sense for Grosse Ile right now. Yep.
So I know the DTE grant was sidelined, but I don't recall why it was. The emerging aviation?
We don't have paperwork. So how that was working was actually MCA, which is Metro Consulting Associates, is receiving the DTE grant. So our contract is going to be with MCA, not with DTE. So that is the reason for it.
So it's not dead in the water.
No,
okay.
No, and
right.
no, not dead in the water
All
at
right,
all.
that was the impression I got from what you said. So
No,
Okay.
not at all.
All right,
And DTE is moving forward on their awardees, and actually they did a press release already. So I mean, it's like ready. They're just a little behind on the contract. So
okay, that's all. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
no problem. No, it's a good question because when you're talking to MDOT, they want to know, where are you going in the future? What are you doing to sustain your airport? So these conversations are really relevant when you're talking to the state. And then when you're asking for federal discretionary money in order for them to put several $1 million back into your airport, like what are you doing to help sustain the aviation community and staying, kind of in the forefront of where aviation is heading? Like this is important to them. This is just another photo of how we were breaking it apart. But one of the projects we decided to move on next year, which will be a larger project in 2027, 2026, it depends on when we can get the funding, will be this project right here, which will be just another connector to that major rehabilitation we did a couple years back. And kind of moving forward, this was the draft ACIP, but these are the next projects we're moving forward to. These are always subject to change, but this is what we submitted to the Michigan Department of Transportation, and with their help decided on how we were going to move forward with our next projects. And that was the why on how we were going to move forward on that. Yep.
So as you move forward with these projects, are these projects going to be funded in the same type of fashion where you look for grants and so forth, or is this something we're going to have to look at later down the line? Like this, I forgot which one-way it is, the one that was in yellow. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, one is in poor condition. You've talked to me about that one before. Probably all of us have at one point or another.
1735.
Yeah, so I mean, something like that. Mm-hmm. Is this part of your, I couldn't read everything you were going through.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to move fast.
No, that's
I
fine.
only had 10 minutes. I
Right,
was
no, I
really trying to
understand.
stay with.
We'll blame Brian,
I'm
that's not a
seriously
problem.
joking.
But as far as that runway over here, you say 175, is that what you call it?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any plans in the future to try to renovate that particular runway as well? So you get more traffic in here or no?
Well, it's not necessarily due to more traffic. It really comes down to mainly the safety of the pilots because it's a true crosswind runway. So when the winds come out of a certain direction and when we have a training facility here, it's better for those pilots in those smaller aircraft or any aircraft for that matter to land on that particular runway. So to answer the question, yes, we're doing it. And Is there conversations? Yes, absolutely. So and I kind of touched on this a little bit, but all of these different buckets of funding, some are more competitive than others. And for that particular runway, rehabilitation will be what we call discretionary funding. So I have to go through a different grant process in order to receive that money. And it's highly competitive. It kind of goes back to that conversation at the very beginning on all these other airports that we're competing with, right? So we're competing against not only non-primary airports, but we're competing against primary airports. And when we talk about primary airports, we're looking at like the DTW is a primary airport because they have commercial services there, and we're non-primary airports, so we don't have that same commercial service here. So they'll look at our, application, if you may, differently. And so that's why when you're talking about getting some of these funding, they want to look at what are you doing with that forward movement thinking, like, are you looking at things to help continue to sustain your airport, such as advancement in air mobility? Sure.
Being able to get grants, I know, is a highly sought after skill. It's not easy to do. It can get really technical. But it looks like maybe since you've been in that role that you're pursuing grants more than in the past, and that it looks like most of our funding is coming from either state or federal sources, because the dollar amounts you showed us that we paid for were small versus this one, 400 plus grant. So
For the grant that we received that is on the action item today, I think the best way to explain it is there were different opportunities, which was known as BIL, which was the bipartisan infrastructure law. And when they changed it to IJA, I don't know why. It doesn't really matter. But that was implemented, I don't know, a few years back, I think, in order to relieve some of the airports to help continue to improve their surfaces, because the other grant opportunities, there just wasn't enough money in the kitty. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Is it fair to say most of the funding for the airport repairs are coming from grants?
Yes, yes. You're looking at maybe 2.5% to 5% would be typically our local share.
And is that different than in past years? Are we doing a lot more in grants now?
I think that there's more grant opportunities available now, yes.
Okay. And then when I was going through the materials, originally they tried to condition getting the grant on participating with the federal government on a certain thing. That's gone, right?
I don't know if I know the answer. You were looking at what?
Originally, they were trying to condition participation for the grant, but it looks like an injunction was issued against that because they were trying to relate it to something that was not related at all
Oh,
to the airspace.
no, and so we are still in that, we are still moving forward with those grants. So this grant for the taxiway project is moving forward with no problem. So that one's presented today. So as far as the federal government being hung up, no.
Yeah, I think they got shut down by a court. And so
Okay.
now it's, they're not trying to tell you have to do something unrelated to what you're asking for. So I think that got shut down in court, but
Yeah.
okay.
I
If
mean,
you haven't heard anything, then I'm sure that
No, I
still
think that
stands.
there was a time that the state was worried about it and whether or not that those funds were going to be released back to the state, but that the floodgates were open on that like shortly after the federal shutdown.
Okay,
Yeah.
Could I add a,
thank you.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
This
thank you.
one,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Joe, I want to put another nickel into this thought. There's a lot going on in what Janelle is talking about in her work. She talks about buckets of money. But you have to have, ultimately, for a project to take place, is enough money from enough buckets to pay for the job. But these buckets don't hold their money like you have a leak-proof bucket. It becomes available on a certain date. You go down the road a piece. If it hasn't been done, it'll be given to some other projects from somebody else that needs a bucket. And while you're doing all of this, you have to be sure that you are keeping up to date on what responsibilities you have to your airport. Keep its shoes shined, if you would, to look good. It takes a lot of coordinative effort and timing. And I happen to be privileged enough. She asked me to attend a neat meeting she had with this lady who was the federal government, I believe it was. And that woman had deep respect for Janel. She had responsibilities, as I understood it, to oversee the responsibilities that are hers to oversee. Is this up to stuff? Is this anything? Do you have any plans for doing such and so? But she also knew of the availability of funds and had the ability to help influence that. And so what happens is you have this plan that starts out on day one, and your initial 40% has 25% for money source A. 3 years from then, if it's still not quite done, but you're trying to get something else done that's higher priority, you might take the money that was originally allocated to A and give it to B. And the point I'm trying to make is this isn't easy. I mean, there has to be a sense of perspective, a sense of balance, timing, and she is respected. And I tell you that, frankly, I wanted to make sure things were well. When you were kind enough to ask me to that meeting, I relaxed a lot. I have deep respect for this lady's abilities, and we're fortunate to have her. I've said that before, but I mean it. Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
very lucky.
Thank you, Bill.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay.
I
Thanks,
thought you were
guys.
going to say, does anybody else want to say anything nice about me?
No. Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
do,
Janelle.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, any public comment from the audience? No? Any public comment from emails?
Yes, I have one tonight. Jenna Moxlow, East River Road. Good evening, members of the Grosse Ile Township Board. My name is Jenna Moxlow, and I live on East River Road. After reviewing tonight's agenda on the Township website, I noticed that the Communications Committee is once again a discussion item. I wanted to share my support for the committee as it currently stands. I often use the Township website and other communication tools, thanks in large part to the work of Brian Friel, who, like many Township employees, is both undervalued and overextended. His dedication extends well beyond his title of office manager, deputy clerk, and also encompasses the role of communications administrator. I want to recognize that publicly. My background is in business marketing and communications, as I view this issue both as a taxpayer and as someone familiar with the effective outreach strategies. My current and busiest role is that of an 8-month pregnant stay-at-home mom to an 18-month-old. But even so, I make time to watch every Township Board meeting and all Commission meetings on YouTube. That access and my ability to stay informed are possible thanks to Brian's work. Our Township's website, YouTube channel, newsletter, social media pages, code red alerts, newspaper notices, and new podcasts are all well-run, accessible, and full of timely, relevant information. From emergency alerts to community updates, the Township uses every feasible and cost-effective communication method I would have recommended to my former clients. The content is engaging, informative, and inclusive. A 90-year-old citizen likely isn't tuning into the podcast, but an 18-year-old new voter surely isn't watching GITV on cable television either. So while not every tool reaches every demographic, collectively they do. Expanding the Communications Committee simply for the sake of expansion would not increase effectiveness. In fact, adding more members could slow progress, introduce unnecessary subjectivity, and dilute accountability. Unless there are gaps in communication, missing deadlines, or unprofessional content, which there are not, growth for its own sake is unnecessary. The existing committee structure works, the tools are there, and they function exceptionally well. If some residents or even officials feel disconnected, it's not due to lack of effort from the Communications Committee, rather it's a matter of individual engagement. I encourage everyone, citizens and board members alike, to utilize the Township communication tools and see firsthand the quality of work being produced. I sincerely hope you will recognize the outstanding work of our existing Communications Committee, which falls squarely on the back of Mr. Friel. Sir, thank you for all you do to help us stay informed. You're doing an excellent job, and I hope tonight's discussions reflect those efforts accordantly. That is all I got.
All right, Jenna, thank you for the kind words. I probably should have read that. Was that a little awkward? No.
That was a little uncomfortable thing, yes.
But Jenna, thank you very much for putting your time in, too, and sending us that. Okay, so nothing from the audience, correct? Kevin, you are next.
I move that the board accept consent agenda 25-079, consisting of the minutes of the October 27th, 2025 regular meeting, the check register dated through November 7th, 2025, approval to process and distribute payments through November 28th, 2025, facility use agreement between Groseal Township and the Red Cross, lot split configuration number 388, Groseal Township, and LOMO.
I'll be the second. Oh, I'm sorry. We just gotta
I
second
forgot
it.
that, thank you for
No,
the
no,
second.
don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Approval of the consent agenda after the second.
Is there any discussion? Anybody have anything? All right, thank you. For consent agenda 25-079 approval, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thanks, Kevin. All right. Okay, we're going to go to action item number 2, approval of Michigan Department of Transportation, Infrastructure, Investments, and Jobs Act agreement. That is through the airport. William, are you prepared to
Yes, I can read this.
read this
off.
one?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
We're moving for acceptance here, approval of the Michigan Department of Transportation, Infrastructure, Investments, and Jobs Act Agreement. MDOT IJA Administrative Number 2026-0036. Grant Number 3-26-0025-21725.
I'll second it.
Recommendation upon the, based upon the recommendation from the Groseal Airport Commerce Commission, the Township Board of Trustees hereby approves a contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation, Infrastructure, Investments, and Jobs Act Agreement. The estimated project cost is $448,788.
Okay, any questions or concerns from the board? With nothing, approval of Michigan Department of Transportation, Infrastructure, Investments of Jobs Act Agreement. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Bill. All right, so we deleted 3. We deleted 4. 5. Margaret, would you like to do 5, please?
Comcast Uniform Video Services Local Franchise Agreement Renewal. Request to approve the Comcast Uniform Video Service Local Franchise Agreement.
I'll second it.
Second.
The advent of the Uniform Video Services Local Franchise Act established a standardized franchise agreement for video service providers in Michigan. The act ensures consistent terms and conditions across different municipalities. In essence, the Uniform Video Services Local Franchise Act streamlines the process for obtaining video service franchises in Michigan while also ensuring that municipalities can still collect fees and manage their right-of-way. Annual provider fee based on a percentage of gross revenue, matching the incumbent provider, or up to 5%. Now, this does not change for us. This is standard. This is very consistent. So it's not like we can ask for more or, anything is going to change.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Margaret or questions regarding number 5? With none, Comcast franchise agreement, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. Margaret, you want 6 too?
Yep. So, replacement of sound system at Groseal Township RFQ. The recommendation is the Groseal Township Board of Trustees hereby approves the proposal from low bidder Sound Planning at a total cost of $33,843.62 for the replacement of the sound system for the Merle Solomon Meeting Room.
I'll second.
The history on this, I guess I could read it all, but I think
You can
guys,
just say it if you
yeah.
want. That's fine.
It's 13 years old. It's showing signs of failure, and it just needs to be replaced. The budget can contain this at this time. This is the sound system only. We can't contain the cameras in this particular budget season, but that is planned for the following. So if there's any questions, this is definitely budgeted in our communications budget, so there are no policy implications.
Thank you for that.
Okay, any questions or concerns?
Just a quick question. So to implement the cameras as well, is there any kind of a cost difference or an increase in the cost if we wait to do the cameras? Or is it just, they're giving us a price and that price to go hold true for next fiscal cycle, next budget?
Well, I don't know if it's gonna hold true at that next
I
year,
didn't know if
but
they gave you a guarantee, that's why I was asking.
I don't, there's no guarantee, is there, Brian?
No, I mean, the pricing they provided for the cameras was a little over $10,000 more. The lowest bidder on the cameras, when I talked to them, said they only bid that low as if they were going to get the whole job.
Okay.
But their price for the actual sound system was much higher, so it wasn't going to benefit us in any way to go with them to get the whole thing done. But no, we'll have to bid it back out and see what we get. It sounded like it would probably be around that same price, most likely in April or whenever we do it. So
Okay.
it doesn't look like it would rise a lot unless the cost for, wherever they're getting it from rises in that time frame. So.
Understood. Okay.
All right, any other questions? With none, replacement of sound system, Groseville Township. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. Okay, Jameson, you have number 7.
I move that the Groseville Township Board of Trustees accept the following offers for township-owned property. Offer number 5 for parcel number 73-02703-0017-000, commonly known as 25146 Dallas Drive. And offer 5 was for $275,000, 25% cash down with conventional mortgage. And then offer number 2 for parcel number 73-01402-0184-008, commonly known as vacant land at 20443 West River Road, which is a $200,000 cash offer. Further, the board authorizes the township manager to execute all necessary documents to complete the sale of these properties.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any questions? When I went through, hold on real quick here. When I pulled these up from before, I want to make sure that I see if the offers weren't like 1 and 2. I get you. I just wanted to make sure that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she put the offers in the order the offers were received.
Yes.
And recommends we accept the highest offers that are valid, and those are the offers.
Okay, so you got a 200 on number. Let's go to the second one.
Okay.
You got a 200 cash and then 270.
275 on the Dallas house, 25% down, the rest of it a conventional mortgage.
Where did?
That's offer number 5.
5.
You gotta go up. They're in reverse order.
Yes. I want to just write this down here real quick. Gotcha. So the first one, so I got 275 and then 200.
Yep.
Okay. In that order, whichever.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or concerns with the 2 bids or what we're voting on?
I had a question on the sales agents commission for the the undeveloped land.
Undeveloped land. Let's go.
Tell me what that is.
I believe it's 2%, and then it's probably 3% to the seller's agent, or the purchaser's agent, but to tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure on that.
Isn't it, it's in the packet, I think, somewhere?
It doesn't state on offer number 2 for the vacant property what the commission is.
Turn this one down.
If you recall, the commission was set in the realtor's proposal, so it was 2% and 1% if they were bringing, I believe it was 1%, so a total of 3% if it was going to be a same agent for buyer and seller.
Yeah, so it's 2% for the selling agent and 2% for the purchasing agent.
Okay.
You see that in here?
No, but that's
Okay.
what the contract was.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And I'm not aware of whether or not it was a dual agent relationship for this specific parcel.
There was not in this one.
There was not?
No.
Okay. It was not a dual agent.
So it's only 2%.
Correct. The realtor was not representing both.
Okay.
So it's 2%.
So it would be
2%, 2% and 3%.
Right.
Plus the 3.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, you good, Kevin, on that?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so, on action item number 7, acceptive offers, for township-owned properties, both of them included, $275 for the house, $200 for the vacant. All right, just so we have that on record. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carried. We'll get those through. Approval of interview consultants entrance audit. Mark, did you want that? You put it back on?
Yeah, recommendations. So the Groseal Township Board hereby authorizes the scheduling of interviews with the consultants, Plant Moran, and is it Raymond? Am I pronouncing that?
Raymond.
Raymond, I'm sorry, Raymond Group, to review their proposals for an audit for the Groseal Township. I understand why this was originally rejected. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that particular meeting. I don't want this to be another overall broad yo-and-yo audit. That was never the intent. So I think their high end, one of these two companies I don't have in front of me, it was like 120 grand. It's not going to get to that point. I believe we can narrow it down to a specific time frame and specific categories. But I think at the very least, what we need to do is at least interview these folks and see what they have to offer. If it's completely outrageous or off the wall, then we just don't move on with it. But I think we should get through at least the first part of the process, which is simply the interview and see where things land, see how they're going to react, and if we narrow scopes down, see what the cost would really be.
Okay, so let me just, did we get a second? We needed a second, I'm sorry.
Second.
We got one. Okay, let me keep talking. On my notes here, so the Raymond Group, 4.5 years was 60, 8.5 years was 100, and 12 years was 140. So what you're just asking for tonight on here is the interview.
Just the interviews at this
Just
point.
the interview.
That's
And
it.
at this point, you are only requesting in your action item. I just want to make sure we have a square here. To interview one group.
We can interview both, or we can do the one. I think we should interview both personally, just to see what they both have to offer. But I don't think that interview is going to take an egregious amount of time. But
Right, well, I'm asking though, and I apologize, I didn't hear Plant Moran. I apologize to you, Mark.
yeah.
That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, no worries. No.
In your action item.
Yeah, in the action on both.
So the consultants would be for Plant Moran, and Plant Moran was 68, 76, 81 in respectively for 4.5, 8.5, 12.5, just so you know for the rest of the people on the board. Okay, so I foresee some discussion here. Anybody want to start?
No, I need to get a clearer understanding of where the starting point is on this.
The starting point of,
Where
this
there-
is just
are
the
there-
interview.
Right, interview with 2 or 3 companies. We have
Two, Plant Moran and Raymond. I just didn't hear him say that. I apologize. That's why I
Okay.
asked him what he wanted.
And you mentioned again the amount of money each would ask us to pay?
Well, that's what their bid was. I don't know if that's what it will be, but that's
Or
what they.
could someone tell me that again?
I have here, Raymond, starting 4.5, 60 grand, 8.5, 100 grand, 12.5, 140 grand.
Those are the number of years they'd look into.
Number of years and bid. And then Plant Moran at 4.5 years was 68.4, 8.5 years, 76, and 12.5 was 81.7. That was the bids they gave, according to this. And I don't think it's changed. Obviously, it can't.
I have comments when you're done, Joe.
This was
I've got questions.
Actually, the
too.
bid, I have August 29th. So, yeah.
Were you done though? Did you have more questions?
Well, I didn't know that I could ask the other questions. I was just trying to clarify a starting point for all of us.
Are
Okay.
you clear what we're
Yes.
looking at?
Now, if we're open for questions and I still have the floor, I'd like to ask at least one question.
Shoot,
Yeah.
let her go.
We've talked on occasion of this entrance thing that, you know, you could look at it for a year, you could look at it for 3 years, you could look at it for a number of years beyond that, and the cost would go up. What do we get for this added expense? I understand that. I understand too how we are set for money or not set for money. And I move back and forth on this thing a little bit. What I'm asking is this. It's my understanding when you're looking at things, you basically go in and the first question you ask is this all according to regular, proper procedure that is, you know, proper for this job? If there's something that isn't quite right, then you begin to investigate that more fully, which adds cost. What I'm getting at then is that instead of committing to $140,000 for 12 years or whatever, could we start with a year or a year and a half? And if we sniff something that doesn't seem quite right in our procedures or could learn something further, invest that additional money at a later time when we see a need for it?
Well, I will tell you this, when I researched this before, you can pick the years you would like to have looked at. I don't know if once they're done, you can add on to whatever you've done. I know that for a fact. But I don't know, like, they can go back and we can start, you know, can we get a few more years and add on? While they're here or while they're doing something, we can always add, especially if something's found. But those are questions that they would have to answer in an interview, that's all. I'm not trying to push the interview or not, I'm just telling you, I can't answer that question because
Okay,
all I
well-
got was bids.
Having said that, Joe, then is it possible to perhaps, I mean, we would like to get a decision made here. I know we can't sit around forever, but
Yeah, no, we will tonight. We'll have a decision if we're gonna interview or not.
we can't defer to some kind of a strategy where we'll spend money today for the next 2 years, and then if we find anything that's curious that we can learn from.
I think the next, when we come back, I think that will be discussed from what we got in the interviews. Because I can't answer unless I interview. I don't know what I don't know. So I can't answer any of that.
So we're deciding tonight mainly to do interviews. And that's
Just
it.
interview. That's
Okay.
all we're doing tonight, not to pick them. We're just doing interviews tonight.
Okay.
Or we're just voting
Voting.
on
Voting.
whether to interview or not. Yes. And then all those things, Bill, can come out during the interview, and then the next board meeting is when we would talk about it and say this, you know, we could do this, or we can't do this, or this isn't gonna work at all.
That helped me a lot. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Just as long as you get it. All right.
I have comments, Joe.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I just think it's a really bad idea. I think it's fiscally irresponsible. I mean, we have, right now, we gotta watch whatever millages we put out there, and next year, we're gonna be asking for some more, and we have to be sensitive with how we spend our money because of, you know, buying the bridge. So right now, we're being asked to spend all this money to go back and audit when we've already audited. And let's say we find something, let's say somebody didn't follow the purchasing policy, they skipped a step or misinterpreted it, what are we gonna do with that? Right, we're gonna go
Yeah,
back
that's
10
not what
years?
the purchasing policies this isn't what we're really looking at in this audit. It was the first audit that you would look at purchasing
So what,
policies.
but what are we gonna look at? Because I keep hearing like whispers of like somebody did something wrong, and I'm worried that it's more political than it is anything.
Well, I do know this, that, and I guess the statement, you know, some people don't like this, but I don't know what they're going to do until they tell me what they're going to do and have the ability to do what they do. So I'm not a forensic auditor, and I'm not an entry auditor. I'm not an auditor at all. I sit across one at the dinner table, and that's my knowledge. So I can't answer it until, do you see what I'm saying? I can't answer the
It just
question.
seems like such a waste, so it's like
Okay,
we're gonna put
well-
money out there to figure out if somebody can tell us that somebody did something wrong. But if they did do something wrong, we're not gonna do anything about it. We already have the finance director correcting how we administer things financially.
Okay.
And so I just think it's money that could be much better spent on
Well, that would be
other things.
decided, let's just say we interview. That still would be decided at 1 or 2 meetings ahead, not tonight. We're not spending a dime. Doesn't cost us anything, and I know you say, well, we're wasting their time and ours. I don't mind coming to a meeting about anything. I'm not saying I'm in favor of this or against it right now, because I'm still teetering. But I won't know until we get some poignant questions to the young lady or gentleman that is going to be coming here on what they actually do, because you can ask them about, is this a policy issue, or no, we don't look at, purchasing issues unless it was done improperly. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Not-
but that's what I think they're getting at. Like, I've heard whispering, like, people have done something that could be almost criminal, right? But you don't go out there
I
and
haven't heard.
search for something and spend money on it. And
That I haven't, got to, but, okay, I see what you're saying, Mickey,
You know what I'm
so,
saying? It's like a witch hunt. is
Well,
what I'm
it's-
getting at. That's just
it's
what it
however you
feels like
feel.
to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Okay, I'm sorry, did you not, you have something?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, if they're, I don't think anybody was like taking money out of township funds, right? I think that would be quickly noticed and there would be a criminal investigation, right? So I don't know that, if we're looking for improper purchasing agreements or things like that, I'm not sure a audit would actually find that. I don't know, because I don't know how an audit really works, right? So I don't know. Maybe if we interview somebody, we can ask some questions and find out what this thing could be. But I'm of two minds about it, because I agree that if there has been some kind of impropriety, it should be routed out. And also I think that we're in a constrained financial environment right now, and what are we going to do? Punish people that don't work here anymore?
For making a mistake, too. I mean, you can't even say they did it intentionally, right?
So I'm
Well,
not
there's
sure.
not, I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure what we're looking for, but the entrance audit for new boards, this is not uncommon. This is something that companies do, cities do, townships do, but we don't know the answers until we get them in front of us. I mean, we can all, please don't
I'm
misunderstand.
for an interview.
Yeah,
I'm for an
don't
interview.
misunderstand this term, but it's all conjecture, because I can't answer it, and I probably looked into this more than anyone. So that was the issue. So, anyone else?
The federal judiciary has an entrance audit when they change clerks. And the premise there is that you're auditing what's been done, and you're protecting the new person that comes in with information that everything was in order, and that person won't be subject to, you did something wrong, the new person. And the old person, they're making sure that everything is correct. So having a discussion about it, having some folks come in and talk to us about it, I think is a great idea. And I think it's prudent, and then we can figure out if it's financially feasible.
If I can just add one thing to Kevin's. When I said I'm teetering, I'm not sure the amount of money is the juice worth the squeeze, you might say. But that will be coming at a later date if we vote yes tonight. And I mean, I agree with you in that point. Jameson, though, I agree. And Mickey, I do too. I mean, I agree with some of the things you're saying. I really do. But again, I don't have a handle on what these people actually do all the way. I got an idea because I've already sat down with one of them. And that was back, unfortunately, a few years back. And I've had to use one, not from there, that will be here, but I've had to use one in a money trail issue. So anyway, Mark, did you have something?
No, I'm good. I think we should go just call the point
Oh,
of
I'd like
order
to
and
throw another
just
comment
vote
in.
on whether or not we're going to interview.
Yeah,
It's
this
just
is just
simply,
the
this
interview.
is just for the interview only. We're not
Margaret?
spending anything.
I'm sorry,
No.
Mark, I interrupted you, Mark.
That's right.
Margaret, you're next, and then Bill will go again.
So I know that there is a want for this by some people, and I did originally vote no because I know where we're at budget-wise with respect to public safety, specifically the police. I know that we lost money from state funding. Over $53,000 was lost. So I understand wanting to, to do the interview. That's a no-cost situation. It's just, I'm really struggling myself. I see both points of view. I understand the want for it. Or actually, I don't really fully understand the want for it. I just understand that it's our time that would be used. It's not a cost to the township or the residents. I'm struggling with, okay, we can listen to them. Questions can be asked, and they would have to be really well-prepared questions to them. I don't think we can come in and just sit back and not be prepared for that discussion. But I'm struggling with it because I don't think we have the funding to look for anything, and I really firmly believe if there was something there, I would like to have hoped that, and hope is not a strategy, but I do believe that our auditors would have found at least something that would have triggered a next level. That's just how I'm feeling about it right now.
All right, Margaret, thank you. Bill, one more and then we'll vote.
Sure. We're dealing with an issue here that doesn't have cold, hard facts to point to. And I can only relate with my own personal experience in life. I was involved with commercial insurance most of the time. In fact, I used to teach classes that included stuff about employee fidelity. And as I'm listening to this conversation, for some reason, the first thought that came into my mind is that we're all human beings, some more so likable than others, but we're human beings. And what happens is that sometimes the things we get involved with come because of our own humanity and the circumstance we're in. Other times, because out of habit, we do something all the time and don't give it any thought. And what happens is that the guidelines aren't there as they could have been. And if you add the total sum up over a period of years because of that, the savings is substantial. You don't know that until you look, and you don't know what it's worth to you because you don't quite know what you're dealing with. Now what am I talking about? One textbook example we had was a lady who was kept the books for the place. Boy, she was great. Well, her husband died, and she got a new boyfriend that liked to play the racehorses. I need to say more. You don't expect that for somebody after 30 years. I told that story. I was in tears about the guy that was in a drugstore, and he was the manager, and he was an old guy, middle-aged, and he'd never had any children. He'd always been single, and the kid 2 doors down, 3 doors down was only 4 years old, and he kept buying him toys and stealing them from his employer. They had to fire him for stealing toys for the kid next door. There's stories there where you can find some sympathy for people, but you got to look into it. And we don't know that till we do it, until we spend the money.
Oh,
I
remember,
don't
we're
have
not
an in.
spending any money yet.
We haven't, and I know that.
We're not
So
spending any
we
money.
haven't. I think that we would be better prepared in our minds on that if we heard what these people had to say, and we should go through that exercise.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Now, I want to make sure we understand this. So this vote is to approve the interview only for Plant Moran and the Raymond Group.
So were they the top two when we voted on who we wanted?
We talked about it in a study session, and we came up with 2. There was only
3, weren't there?
there was only 3, and the other one went up to almost $200,000.
Yeah, I think that's why we pulled that out.
That's why we kind of
yeah.
knocked them out, and then had the other 2. Yes. So, Brian, I can get a roll call for my own peace of mind, so we can hear it, just so we know. I would like to do it that way, if that's okay with the board. Okay. once again, let me read it again. So approval to interview consultants for the entrance audit, and that would be both Plant Moran and the Raymond Group. All in favor, roll call, say aye. Margaret? How do you vote? Aye or nay?
Give me a second.
Oh, I thought you were like, that's it. I'm done with this.
No, aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Jameson?
Aye.
Mickey?
Nay.
William?
Aye.
Okay, I will go aye too. It's not that it mattered. And Derek, can you have Margie contact them and see when we can interview the two firms on the same night?
Yeah, and she'll be contacting you all as well to check your availability too. So.
That would be great.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for your comments, everyone. You have to explain that story to me, Bill. I wasn't real clear on it, but I'll get it after the meeting.
Well, some of the people are dirty, good skunks, and others aren't, but they're still both in the same pot.
Good point. Okay, now we're gonna start discussion items. The first discussion item is the purchasing and bid policy. Let me ask this question first. Does everybody have their sheets of the changes? And are we,
We have 3 action items added?
wait,
Yeah, there's one more.
oh, you know what?
Where's
I
the
apologize, I missed an add-on.
Yeah, it's the employee
On this,
compensation
on that.
classification.
Thank you
Council.
so much, Margaret.
As well as the transmission and the fence.
You're right, the add-ons didn't go.
Oh, that's page 1.
All right,
Pages.
somebody's paying attention. Okay, so that would be, we're gonna go back to number 9. That would be the transmission rebuild authorization. Kevin, that would be yours on DPS.
The transmission rebuild authorization, the recommendation is the Grosville Township Board authorizes the acceptance of the quote from CNC Automotive for $650 or $6,000.
6,000, yeah.
$566.83 for the replacement of the transmission in the Department of Public Services 2017 F-150.
All right, need a second.
Second.
Thank you. The purpose, the transmission in the DPS Department's 2017 F-150 has failed. The truck has roughly 84,000 miles, so it's worth investing in the vehicle and making the repair. 3 quotes were received. CNC was the low bidder, and it says budgeted DPS vehicle maintenance. And any questions?
Any questions for Kevin or Derek? With-
So,
no- oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
no,
go ahead.
no, I do. So, did we do any due diligence on this to make sure that this
We
is the
did.
only option, or?
Yeah, we did send it in for service, and it was told to us that the transmission had failed, and it's actually not a rebuild, it's actually a replacement, so there's no rebuild of that unit. You just have to swap out a new one. So, so hopefully that answers your question.
Is it, I mean, is it just the way the vehicle's used, or, I mean, what was their,
It's possible, 83,000 miles or 84,000 miles primarily around the island, so, I mean, it's not,
That's
it's a lot
why-
of miles, and it's a lot of changing of gears, and
well, that's why, it's a lot of miles for
Right,
sure,
yeah.
so.
Maybe it plowed snow or something like that. I mean, put a heavier use on the transmission.
yeah, this vehicle doesn't have a plow on it, but it does have a lift gate on it, so it does get used for hauling a lot of stuff around, so not so much pulling, it's probably just the weight. It's missing a couple different gears, so we took it into the shop and to see if it was something electronic or whatnot, but it definitely has failed according to the shop. It needs to be replaced.
I will make on the bid is, actually, I have on here on the sheet, it's $260.76 for taxes, which would not be paid because we're a tax exempt so it will be a little bit less, $260 less. What would it cost to replace this, and is that vehicle on a replacement plan with the DPS department?
We haven't checked the state bid for F-150s recently. I think the last time we looked at them, they were 42,000, something like that. But then you'd have to purchase a lift gate, which is another, $4,000 or $5,000, I think. So, and yes, it's probably going to need to be replaced in a couple of years, and that'll get put down into like a secondary service. So that's usually what we do with our older vehicles.
All right. Okay, thank you. So that was action item number 10, transmission rebuild authorization. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried. That's
Hey, I'll
number,
recuse myself on this one, okay?
which one? Number 10 or 11?
On the trans,
Oh, all right.
just because we're in the businesses.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, number 11, I'll take that, dumpster enclosure.
It's number 10.
Number 10. No, number 11. Dumpster enclosure, 10.
That's the bid, or the employee compensation.
Got it, number 10.
10 is the dumpster.
Got it, hold on, I'm just writing this down. Number 10 is the dumpster. Okay, Groseal Township hereby approves a bid with Veterans Fence for the installation and enclosure and screening around the dumpster at the toll bridge at the cost of $4,100.
Second.
Toll Bridge business address is in Riverview. Because of this, the owner, Groseal Township, is required to obtain a business license from Riverview, which allows operation. The business license requires an inspection of the property prior to issuance. During the inspection, a variety of compliance issues arose against Riverview Code. All issues have been resolved with the exception of the screening around the dumpster. 3 quotes were obtained. The low bidder was Veterans Fence. And once again, that was $4,100. Any questions on this? Okay, with none, action item number 10, dumpster enclosure. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Number 11, employee compensation and classification consulting service bid award.
Can I see this?
You want, which one do you want?
No,
That's the audit.
The employee compensation one, because I don't have the bids in front of me.
I got it.
Yeah, that one.
You want this one? I got that one. I got one for him.
So I move the Groseal Township Board of Trustees hereby award the employee compensation and classification consulting services bid to Raymond for a cost of $29,775.
Much was it, 29,700?
$29,775.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. We got a second. Okay. Do you want to go through the
History?
history, please?
Okay. So at the request of the board, the township issued a bid for employee compensation classification consulting services with the intention of creating a grade and step program for township employees. We received 12 submissions. On October 13th, we interviewed several consultants, Raymond, Yo, and Gallagher, which were conducted on, we approved on the October 13th board meeting to interview Raymond, Yo, and Gallagher. And then we conducted interviews on the 5th of November. Bid information for each consultant had previously been emailed to all board members for review and came in through a blind bid process.
All right, thank you, Jameson. Any questions on how we got to this or where we're going here? So, okay, with none, then okay, that would be action item number 11 for employee compensation firm for the Raymond Group. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carried. They will get the bid. Or the contract, rather. Thank you. Okay. And Margaret, thank you for reminding me of those.
Oh, yeah, that was me, all right.
What's that?
I might have had a little helper.
Oh, okay. Okay, now we are on the discussion items, correct? First discussion item for the night is the bid policy and purchasing policy. We've talked about this before. My question to some of you is, do you have this copy of, you guys have this copy either on your computer or, are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Derek, you have some,
I was trying to pull it up on the computer here, but,
do you want this and put it on the,
sure.
Elmo or whatever you call that now here? What do they call that?
That's it?
Elmo?
I think so.
That's it then. Elmo? Yeah, you call it the Elmo. The old
Crazy, we're still using paper around here.
Yeah, that works. I mean, kinda.
Oh, we have it on the,
And that's just the first page, so following, the review of this one, or, questions, comments.
Okay, so what we had, and I'll let you speak and say how we got to here. One of the other meetings, we had a couple study sessions where we were talking about it, and we needed to look at our bid and purchase policy, maybe revamp it a little bit. And then Derek had a meeting with all the managers, and the managers came up with what they thought would help them out in their process to conduct business in their individual departments. And that's where we've come up with this, and this is how we've got to where we're at today.
One of the suggestions, I think, Trustee Bartlett had mentioned, was to add a quick reference chart. So the reference chart that you see displayed here,
Is your mic on?
Is this the reference chart?
reference chart that's displayed here is essentially an illustration of the different policies and procedures that are included in the text of the document. So if we go through the text of the document, it basically will explain what's in this chart, because I know it's a bit difficult to read. So if I go to the second page and start going over the items that are in this chart. There's a couple of footnotes for that chart. 3 written quote requirements may be waived by the action of the Township Board. And then the state requirement, which states before any contract exceeding $50,000 for the construction, alteration, or repair of any public building or public work or improvement is awarded, the contractor shall furnish basically bonding and insurance requirements. So the things that are underlined are modifications or adds. So one of the things that was modified was the purchase of goods and services with a contract cost of at least $2,500, but no more than $10,000 shall require the department manager to obtain at least 3 written or verbal quotes. This requirement may be waived by action of the Township Board. Purchase of goods or services with an anticipated cost over $10,000 shall require formal sealed bidding. So in the past, the requirement had been that formal sealed bidding would be over for items over $5,000. So that's basically been modified to $10,000. But there is still a requirement to obtain at least 3 written quotes if that falls between the $2,500 and $10,000 requirement. Additional verbiage to state it shall not be permitted to split or separate into smaller portions, projects, purchases, or contracts for the sole purpose of evading the competitive solicitation requirements, including without limitations the splitting or division of work or services between or among offices, departments, or divisions or other organizational units within the township.
Add, regardless of the cost, to formal sealed bidding shall not be required for the following purchase of goods or services. It used to state purchases for goods or services where the estimated contract cost is less than $5,000. That was removed because it was redundant and covered elsewhere within the document. A contract for professional services such as CPA, attorney, engineering, etc. That was already a stipulation within the purchasing agreement that was not required to be competitively bid. Emergency repairs was in the previous policy. Goods or services was added because that could be it's an elaboration on what that emergency repair type would be. And then sole source provider, single source provider. So on numerous occasions, we deal with purchases where there's only one provider, or a single source provider where the township is already purchasing goods and services from that entity, where it didn't make sense or would not make sense to move to a different vendor. And a good example of that is like Motorola. We use Motorola for the police department for their preps. To switch to a different provider just would not make sense. So you're maybe just buying straight from Motorola, and that would be considered a single source. A sole source would be, there is only one provider of that product or service, so there is no competitive bid possible. There was a previous requirement where the use of a collaborative guaranteed purchasing program would be required to be approved by the board on an annual basis. But the way that normally works, or it makes, I think, the most amount of sense, is once the board approves the collaborative bidding process through an existing entity like MyDeal or Sourcewell or something like that, there usually isn't a change from year to year where that would be necessary for it to be re-endorsed by the township on an annual basis.
Eric, excuse me, did you
Yes.
say it is not necessary to do it annually, you do it less frequently? Is that what I heard you say?
Correct. Yeah. If you wanted to put a different frequency in there, that's fine. But to do it on an annual basis is
I agree with that.
it's not necessary. Those collective bargaining or collectively bid programs, a lot of times they're state or national programs. They don't change. They're in existence for in essence perpetuity. So to re-up that through the township, I'm not sure on an annual basis why that would make sense. The verbiage for bid requests and specifications consistent with the criteria should receive approval and signature for the township manager. I think that was something that was considered by the board in previous iterations in order to address the concerns with the consistency of our bidding documentation and the content of our bidding documentation. In lieu of that, there's been verbiage added to the policy that stipulates those things that are required to be included within the RFP document. So the way this reads is the department manager has the option to consult with appropriate industry professionals to develop bid specifications. So they can work with an engineer, they can work with a consultant to develop a bid specification like we often do. But if they choose not to, if they don't find that to be necessary, they still have to follow the stipulation that's listed in here to include in any formal bid the following: a clear and accurate description of the requirements of goods and services to be procured, evaluation criteria, submittal instructions including the date, time, location, and format, non-discrimination disclaimers approved by the township's legal counsel.
Come down just a hair, Derek. Thank you.
Bonding provisions such as bid bonds, performance maintenance, etc., as applicable. Insurance requirements, contact individuals for questions related to the bid request. Indemnification language, MIOSHA language, any required warranties, language which reserves the right to award bids and waive any bid irregularities, both in the best interest of the township. Language stating township does not cover any cost of developing the bid. Right to add or delete quantities without any adjustment in unit prices. Language which states no bids can be withdrawn for a period of 90 days. Any required qualifications for the bidders as well as financial viability. Request to disclose the legal business status of the bidder, such as an LLC, a corp, etc. And the bid specification shall include the statement the township reserves the right to reject any and all bids for any and all reasons. This list is consistent with those items that we do include in our bids our bids that we do formally currently. This bid list, or this list, has also been reviewed by our engineers who do a lot of our bidding to ensure that it is complete for all those things that we should be reviewing in all of our bid documentation, and is also consistent with those bid documents that our attorney has reviewed. So this has endorsements across the board as far as those things that should be included in our bid documentation from a number of consultants that we currently use. There had been talk about adding the township clerk shall be given the notice and an opportunity to offer input on formal bids prior to being issued, but this was deemed to be unnecessary if the clerk would be reviewing those items, and originally it was the clerk's office. It was found to be unnecessary for the clerk to have that requirement if there are a laundry list of those items that have to be included in that formal bid document. So that was found to be redundant, and that's why it was eliminated in this draft. The clerk's office is the repository for information, so the stipulation to keep all formal bids in the clerk's office was the most appropriate place to leave that information for review. Along with the department manager, designee should be present for the bid opening, so or designee was added, just simply if the department manager is not available, he or she can designate an individual to represent them during the bid opening. If only one bid is received, the clerk will discuss whether that single bid wants to be opened, or if we want to open that single bid with the department manager or designee, and then that determination will be made at that point if a single bid is received. And the reason for that, if the department manager is aware of the bid environment, if their expectation is that they might only receive one bid, they can give justification as to why or why not that should be opened. Sometimes you have a situation where you're aware you were only going to receive one bidder because it is a specific project or something along those lines. That manager should have that information and that insight into the project to know whether that bid should be opened or not. Bids will be open at the advertised date and time, subject to department manager or designee's attendance. So we already talked about their attendance there. Anything that isn't highlighted or underlined is part of the previous policy. Single source bids were appropriate. We already addressed that, so that was redundant. Bid specification shall include the statement reserves the right. That was redundant. That was already addressed. The section of the purchasing and bidding policy that addresses and purchasing policy that addresses purchase orders. I believe we've had previous conversations about purchase orders. The township does not do purchase orders. It hasn't done purchase orders in 20-something years. I believe the township finance director had addressed this during previous meetings, why it does or does not make sense. The removal of this is to bring it in line and bring it consistent with practice. Obviously, that's up for conversation as to whether we want to keep this in the policy, but if it is kept in the policy, then obviously we should be changing our practice in order to comply with what's in the policy here. But under this proposal or under this version, it is eliminated. And essentially the continuation of that policy of purchase orders, the elimination of the balance of that. And that pretty much rounds out those modifications. So purchasing policy, the elimination of the purchase orders, the changing of the bid requirements for different dollar amounts to bring them more consistent with current day dollar figures, and then the addition of that quick reference chart, I think, are probably some of the biggest changes. But this is an action item. This is a discussion item for tonight, so that's the purpose of bringing this forward to you. It's not to make a decision. It's just to introduce these changes and facilitate the conversation about how you feel about it and ask questions. So.
All right, thank you, Derek. I read through this. I like what I see. I think some of the changes are more applicable and, well, how about this? They're more palatable for both the managers and I think the township to get business done. Does anybody want to start, or anybody have any suggestions? Or
Yeah, I I'd like to. I think the input in here is very easily read. It's very clear. I think it aligns to 2025 and beyond. And personally, I'm a little disappointed that we aren't voting on this as an action item tonight. I think we've sat on this for quite some time. We've had a lot of this information available to us, and I think we need to be a little more nimble in how we make decisions and move things forward. But with respect to this document, thank you very much for the work you put in on it, Derek, and I know, Mickey, you provided information as well with that, the quick reference chart, which makes things very easy to see as well. So I appreciate this.
All right. Anybody else?
I think it's a good policy. I do like the quick reference chart. I think it's a good example of looking at what other municipalities are doing and is working right and taking advantage of that. So kudos, finding that chart. I think it was Greenfield Hills or
Was it Can?
No, it was a
Canton?
different one.
yeah, I don't know, one of those fancy
I can't
Up-
remember now. But
upland groups, those outfits.
All right.
So anyway, I think it's a pretty good policy. I'm happy with it. So
All right. Who's next?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go if you don't mind. I like a lot of the changes. I do like the charter too. That does make it a little bit easier to look at. I guess one of my concerns would be the high end though, the $10,000 limit. That seems a little bit high to me. I understand the way pricing and things have gone, but I think a lot of things could get. Gosh, I don't want to put this. I just think there could be some unnecessary spending, maybe. I don't know. I just think the limits are a little bit high. I think they should come down a bit. And I just think $10,000 as a threshold is just a bit high. That's just one of my things going through this. I'd like to go through it again. I've been through it before. I do want to read it again. I'm glad we're not voting on it tonight 'cause I want to look at it a little bit closer. I have gone
Well,
through
if
it.
you, if you have concerns, I guess.
But
yeah.
I guess one of my biggest things that pops out of me is the
10,000?
10,000, yes.
Okay. Well,
Can I ask you though, so since it goes to the board, is that still a concern that number is the way it is? Because we still have to vote on these, so that's, I wonder if that would alleviate or help you
Well,
out.
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I'm looking at this chart. Let me see this
Let's
chart.
look all the way over to the right, Mark, the last column.
Yeah.
So
Board
to
of
tell you,
Trustees
Board of
approves.
Trustees has to approve.
Oh, I see that. Or anything that sees over 5,000.
Yeah, and the 10,000 is really about formal sealed bidding. So anything below that still requires quotes, 3 quotes or bids. So you're still being competitive. It's just, I think, just to give you some context to that, formal sealed bidding requires, development of specs in accordance with those regulations that are listed in here. But there is some cost to that, right? There's some cost to develop it as staff time. There is cost to advertise it and put it out to the market. There's staff time to deal with the bids in the office. So that, I think, is being reserved for some higher dollar, projects. Higher dollar being considered 10,000 and above. But things like a transmission, right? Transmissions now between $6,000 and $8,000.
Yeah.
To put together formal specifications and put that out to the market doesn't necessarily make a tremendous amount of sense when you know exactly what you're dealing with. And I think you've got, this range of, $2,500 to $10,000 where it's a pretty specific product or item that you're looking for in that dollar figure. And when you start getting higher than that, 10,000 above, it gets more, more detail, more complex projects, more complex procurements, where that formal RFP or that RFQ that deals with that makes more sense. So that was the thinking behind that. So.
Maybe there could be a compromise at $7,500.
Absolutely. And once again, this is for conversation. And, we don't need to solve all this tonight, but,
Right.
It's your policy that we follow, right? So whatever you guys figure out what you want to do, compromise is completely fine. you know, if you have reservations, you know.
Well, that was just one of them. Another thing I was wondering, I didn't see anything in here. I remember at one point we did talk about maybe having some things, not transmission per se, but that was a good analogy. But I'm talking more like a building projects, whatever building it may be. As far as having, I guess, one person like an oversight. I mean, the department manager says we need A, B, and C. I actually tried to funnel this through you the last time I think we talked about it. I know you have a lot on your plate, so maybe we can do the clerk's office or something of that nature, but I still think there should be one oversight to kind of follow the project all the way through and make sure.
You're talking about like a
Timely manner.
facilities manager?
Yeah, thank you, yeah, like the facilities manager, yes. That's kind of what I was thinking. That's another thing that kind of jumped, well, I shouldn't say jumped
Pre-bid
out,
or
but,
post-bid?
I'm sorry?
Pre or post?
Well, post. I mean, I didn't know if we could put this, like, within this procedure for the building aspect of things, for buildings, to follow through.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely consider that, just so long as figure out the best place to put it and understand what the goal is, so we make sure we design it to achieve that goal, right? So, your thought is for construction projects to have somebody that oversees those, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, somebody kind of, almost like a checks and balances, somebody kind of oversee and follow through and make sure things are, because I know how things could get lost in the fray too. I mean, I know you guys are super busy. All the managers have a lot of tasks.
What kind of person do you mean, Mark? Can you explain? I
Well,
guess I'm
like,
sorry.
yeah,
I
so
know I walked out
suppose,
a minute here.
do
Do you mean like Sohail, or do you mean like?
No. So I'm going to use, I don't want to use Ross because he's gone. But,
Go ahead, use him. He's gone.
all right, so we can, right? I'm just an example. A department manager, right?
Yeah.
They need, I don't know. They need new doors for the facility. Okay, it's in the budget or whatever. You send the bids out for that, right? And they come back in. If I'm understanding this correctly, that department manager can say, okay, fine, I'll check off on it and be done. They follow it through. There's no like central oversight, I guess is what I'm trying to. I'm not trying to add too many layers of red tape, so to speak, but I think for somebody to be able to follow up with the manager, or the manager follow up with somebody else, kind of almost like a checks and balances type system to make sure things are being done accordingly and in a timely manner.
Yeah, Mark, I think we've kind of talked about this before, so if I can throw in with you a bit.
Sure, go
I
ahead.
think this stems from the concern that, you know, the township has all these facilities and they're housed under separate departments. When theoretically, in a bigger operation, you would have a facilities management department. And one example, I'll use rec as an example. Like rec may not know exactly what they need in a particular facility or what the life of the roof is or whatever, right? But if there were a department or a department manager, a manager of some type overseeing all the facilities, we could have a facilities capital improvement plan and a facilities like condition sheet. And this individual could be responsible for that. I think that's kind of what you're.
That's kind of where the direction we're heading, yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how we would
How does that
shoehorn
fit
that
into
into the
this
purchasing policy. Yeah.
How does it fit into the?
Well, yeah, because this, I mean, the transmission example, I get it. I'm not talking about tires. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. You're right. I mean, the price is the price. It's going to vary a few $100s here and there. But when we have the larger projects, it's just to use the facilities, buildings, the buildings across.
So you could use the generator as your example if you want, but.
Well, yeah, you could use that. That would be-
So both chiefs determined that it was beyond the scope of their expertise. So then they made sure that they incorporated the use of, in this case, Sohail, right? So they did that because they felt that it was beyond the scope of their knowledge, so they chose to do it that way. And I'm not discounting what you're saying. I just feel like, so these competitive bids come to us for our approval, and I would think that we can review them, yes, but if something is beyond the scope of a department manager, I would hope they would do the same as both the chiefs did, right? And I know, again, I say this, we say it at work, hope is not a strategy, right? But that's the reason you hire people in these positions to, you know, have the best interest of their department and to spend their money as wisely as possible. So I don't know if that alleviates anything for you, but the fact that we approve yes or no and can, you know, if we see some complexity in a bid that we think needs somebody, we could always address it at that point. I don't know if that helps you or not.
No, yeah, we certainly can, right? It was just something that was going through, I mean, as I was going through all this.
Yeah.
This is something that just kind of came up and I want to discuss at the board level.
What exactly, I'm sorry, am I
go
interrupting
ahead.
you? What exactly did Soheil do for the Chiefs? Is there a report?
They provided them with, they're going to handle a project management. So because it's a big project, because it's beyond the scope of their knowledge, they're doing a project management for them.
Is there a written project management?
No, there's not.
How come?
Well, hold
No,
on.
Kevin,
You're
I
going off,
didn't use this as an
guys, we're getting off
example,
task
so you
here.
could attack it.
Yeah, hold
so,
on. We're getting off task. Let's stay on task here for what we're trying to do on this purchasing agreement.
I would like to make a few comments. Is everybody
Of course.
done?
We're all gonna get a
I
chance.
actually have a comment on Mark's too.
I haven't had a chance either, but go ahead.
I think that I see the checks on a regular basis on what we're doing. This came up with a situation where we were putting windows into a building that has a leaking roof, that has holes in the sides of the building. So the idea is, and the way the bid process and the purchase RFP was put together was wanting. And I think that that's only part of this, but I think that the whole policy and procedure process for purchasing, for the finance department, we have policies and procedures that the finance director is supposed to follow, and those need to be reviewed because we don't follow them. And we probably haven't followed them for a long time. So what I'm suggesting is that this, to be doing this without carefully looking at it and going line by line through financial, all the financial things, to make sure some of it, I'm not even sure we're in compliance with Michigan state law.
Do you have facts and data to back up what you just said
What I'm
regarding?
suggesting is.
No,
what I'm
you just
suggesting-
impugn the integrity of our finance director.
Hold on. Sorry again, but hold on, Kevin. The question, I know one thing is we don't have purchase agreements and we didn't have them since I was a lieutenant.
That's not the issue. The issue I'm saying is.
I'm talking now. Let me finish and then you can talk. My point is, let's not go off task here and start throwing darts. I get what you're saying about the purchasing, you're not happy with it, or the procedure. But to say that she goes against
I
policy.
didn't say that.
You did.
I did not.
No.
You
I
absolutely
said
did.
there are policies
We
and
can
procedures.
have it replayed. You did say
I
it.
said we have policies and
That
procedures.
she's not following, which means she's
and-
going against policies and procedures. You said it.
No, I'm saying,
It was quite clear to me, and I'm old.
I'm sorry, then you misunderstood what I said.
Then I guess most of us did.
What I'm saying is that there are policies and procedures in the policies and procedures book that we don't follow as a township. Just as there was a policy and procedure in this item that said that the treasurer and the finance director are supposed to review purchase agreements, and that was taken out. So what I'm saying is there are situations that we no longer follow the policy and procedure, and we should review all of this and look it over to make sure that we're not in violation of any Michigan law. I'm not suggesting at all that the finance director is not following policies and procedures. What I'm suggesting is there are policies and procedures that are in here that we probably haven't followed for years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can tell you specifically the purchase order policy that's in
right.
here. We have not.
I
done
think
purchase
I
orders in
think it's
20-some
worth,
years.
right. I think it's worthwhile to go back taking our time and see why things were taken out, why they aren't why we don't have a purchasing order system. Maybe that would be something that we could do. But I want to be very clear that I think that it takes more time, a little more process. I appreciate what you've done so far. And I think it would be good for the community and us to go through and look at the policies and procedures. I will say once more, I am not impugning the finance director. I'm saying there are things that we don't do anymore. Let's look at why they were there. Let's look at why we don't do them and kind of consider all of that. It's not to impugn anybody. It's to go back in and carefully think this through to see what's best for the taxpayer, what's most transparent for the community, and that's what I'm saying.
All right, very good. Mickey, you had something you said.
Just that, while Mark was raising some points about, not knowing how long or how old the roof is on this building versus another building. Mark, I don't want to discount what you said. I don't think it would go in here right now, but I do think it's something that maybe we set up an inventory or an Excel spreadsheet saying the things that we are most concerned about in our facilities. You know, even if it's like a hot water tank or whatever it may be, right? And to look at the dates of when they were last installed or a roof last put on, because this is our policy, but we can always do a project on the side and say, hey, we got so-and-so asking for a new roof, but this other building is 15 years older than this one. So I think there's ways we could take that on, but I think it would be like a separate project that maybe we do a study group and work on and pull something together.
Okay, yeah, I guess that kind of leads back into the whole facilities management type thing. That's all I was looking for, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I do.
It doesn't mean that if it's
Oh,
not here,
yeah.
it doesn't mean we can't do it. I think it's very worthwhile.
No, it was just something that I was thinking about when I was going through it, that's all. But yeah, that's a good point.
And it's like your house, right? You want to know what's coming down the road.
Yes.
You know that's going to need repair.
We as a group have talked about multi-year financial plans, and one of the things that I know a lot of people on the board have talked about are doing a capital improvement plan and trying to prioritize what's most important as far as salvaging it or maintaining it, that sort of thing. I think that is something that we as a group need to look at and work on together.
All right. Bill, you had something.
Yes. When we put together what we've got so far, there was a lot of thought and effort that went into it. And what it is something that is some guidelines, some rules of the road, some ways to drive down the road or whatever you want to call it. But what it also needs in order to be successful is administration or supervision. It's a modified version of that famous quote of Ronald Reagan's, trust but verify. But you can verify for a whole number of reasons. You want to verify for quality of performance in case somebody says what you're doing was faulty. You can use it because you want to make sure that the product or service that you have is as best it can be. You are coming with what you've got defined so far, in a way, a goal that's a group of expectations. But in a way, going one step beyond that, each department head, in my mind, should be considered as the possibility of being the captain of his or her own ship. And if they don't know how to do that, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. You clarify what this document says, why it says it, and why it's good, and teach them how to do that. And then they can make some decisions. Now, I've already seen a little bit of that going on over with Airport Commerce Park. They needed a new batwing mower. They didn't get a new batwing mower. They got one that was used, but they knew how to fix it, and they got it at a good price. And what they needed and what they administrated was that one isn't enough because there's one spot that needs a 15-foot mower, and the other one that we've got is 21 feet. We can't get it to go through there. Now, there was a problem they looked at. They found a way to make it work. Those are the kind of adjustments that have to be made by all the department heads for whatever it might be. One 15-year-old roof or the 10-year-old roof, or maybe the newer roof is not the same quality of materials or in a different geographic location. I mean, for Pete's sake, I had one time an insurance claim on a roof, now that we're thinking about it. The roof was not a year old. It was an $80,000 roof. on a sports stadium at a university. It turned out it happened to be sitting in a spot where everything that was right with specs was there, but there was wind load that was put on that roof, and it had a big bubble in it. Not because of anything that you'd normally think to do. It would, to the last dotted I in the architect's book, the guy had complied. You just had to adjust and put more fasteners into the roof. We learn these things with experience and time. But we're human beings, and some of us are never mind. I don't want to get into that. I didn't make it clear last time.
All right. All right, thank you, William. Now, one problem with a study session, a discussion item, I think that's about all that you can't make decisions in, is you can't make decisions. So we have some tonight that like what they see on this. There's some that want to add or, reach into it a little further. What's the pleasure then of the board? We don't have a subcommittee. We want to go back and
So
look at some things. Jameson, go ahead. What do you feel?
I don't think, I mean, if we want to do a deep dive into policies and procedures and adherence to it, I don't think that's something you do in a boardroom, right? Like,
Right, you need a committee.
Boardrooms don't write policies and procedures.
Right.
In fact, the seven of us probably couldn't agree on that kind of stuff to begin with, to come to a consensus to figure out exactly what we want it to be, right? So you need working groups or subcommittees
Right.
of experts or interested parties that can do that, right? So if there wants to be a deep dive in policy and procedure, I say go for it. I will be happy to review the result here in the boardroom and vote on it.
All right. Do we make an action item for our next meeting for the changes so far? And then we'll get a subcommittee together if the board has the pleasure or wants to do a further dive in and check some of these things out.
I'm in alignment with that.
You're what?
I'm in alignment.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to vote tonight on it.
Well, we can't vote
No,
tonight
I'm
after.
sorry, I would like to put it on the action.
To
as
a
an
vote.
action.
You'd like to put it to a
'cause
vote.
A lot of this that looks like it's new, it's really not, because that chart is a summary,
Yeah.
right? And then we talked earlier in a meeting that we don't use the POs because we're a smaller township and it was holding everybody up, it wasn't working, so we did have discussion on that.
Okay.
So I would like to at least see it get voted on next meeting.
Okay. I
And just,
think,
just real quick, just to rehash, because I think it's important for this conversation. If you recall, this was brought up because there were concerns that the policy was not complete, or there were some potential areas that could, lend itself to something different than what our intent is with the policy, right? And then there was also concern that there might be some practices, the purchase orders, that weren't in compliance with the existing policy. So we talked about that, research what made sense for that. Heard from the finance director as far as what made sense as far as operations in the township. And then we as managers said, well, this is a great opportunity to look at a policy that probably needs to be reviewed in its totality. As far as if we're going to make modifications, let's suggest what makes sense from operations, what we see. So that's what you see in this document. That's where this came from, right? That was the intent, and it was something that the board brought forth and said, we would like you guys to look at this. So that is where this document started, the changes anyways. It was initiated by the board, right, from your concern.
And I personally don't think we can tell our managers that they're not following the rules if we're not making the rules clear. And so that's
Exactly.
why I think
That's
it's laid out
exactly.
better now so they can do that. And I'll go so far as to say, mark question that second line. So you know what, add a third line in and break out 2,500 to 5,000 and 5,000 to 10,000. Because our goal is to make this as easy as possible to follow. It would still read the same way, it would still have all the same rules, but it would just have an additional line to break those amounts out.
I do have a question. Is there an elected official that reviews the policies reviews the RFP or RFQ? Who signs off on it?
No, the elected officials don't review them unless it's an unbudgeted item, then the RFQ gets authorized by the board to issue it.
as an action item.
And who reviews the RFQ?
The department manager is generally responsible for developing and ensuring compliance with what this policy would now be. those things would have to be included.
And what if they don't do that? And we've had examples where they have fallen, maybe they weren't.
That would be an issue with the performance of the manager at that point, yeah.
Well, I guess what I'm suggesting is, why can't that go through you to have you review them? Or have the finance director review them?
And there
to make
was.
sure they're in order?
There was conversation about that. I think in previous iterations, it was going to be run through the clerk's office, and the deputy clerk would ensure that it was in compliance. There were previous iterations that I would review them to ensure they were in compliance. I don't know if we had one where the township finance director was the reviewer, but that had been talked about in previous versions. And I think one of the suggestions that I think Trustee Mills had provided was a list of items that needed to be included in that RFQ or RFP. So that was the direction this ultimately took, was to build into the policy the requirements for that, to essentially have the policy dictate what had to be included, rather than somebody looking at every single one and signing off on them. It was then be beholden on that manager to ensure compliance with the policy.
What would be the problem to have somebody in the finance department check it over, or you?
That'd be up to you guys.
Yeah, what would make the finance department the professional that determines if an RFQ or RFP goes through? What's that criteria?
Janelle
So-
just got a $450,000 grant through. She can check an RFQ.
I can say, if that individual would be checking for various components in the RFP, that could be done to ensure that there are the different items in it. But that person would not be able to review some of the detail of that RFP. For example, the finance director might not know about a construction project and the intricacies of what's being asked for a generator. They're not going to know, okay, is this being specified in the right wattage or voltage, or, the correct, construction methods being asked for. So they would only be able to review it for completeness with regards to those things that we're requiring to be in that RFP.
So as far as checks and balances, what are there, 11 managers?
Sounds about right.
So for checks and balances, the manager's on their own. Nobody's checking to make sure that the bid or the bid process is, even though there's a checklist, it makes sense to me to have somebody check that to make sure that it's in good order.
So I'm just going to say the liaisons for both police and fire were kept involved every step of the way by their department managers, both chiefs. They were given information along the way. They could provide input. We walked through everything. They actually came to the board. They provided information. My opinion would be, if you're a liaison to a department manager, then you should be providing input and support, and they should trust you enough to include you in those discussions. Because if they don't, then obviously that's a problem with the liaison and their relationship with their department manager.
Well, here's another question along those lines. Is all of this written down? In other words, we have certain dollar amounts, and it says, if it's not written down, it doesn't hold up in court. And if we have a problem, I think it says we can have a written bid or a written something. So these are the little details that are important to making this work and covering making sure that we don't end up in litigation because of some error that somebody makes. There should be a professional, whether it's a CPA, the finance director, or somebody, or somebody should be reviewing this just to make sure it's in order. And I appreciate that, and it has to be in writing, and I don't see that yet.
What do you mean, what part of it in writing?
Everything that needs to be verified has to be in writing. You can't, verbal doesn't hold up in court.
That's
there
what
is
the
a
RFP and
list.
RFQ is.
So there's a list of the things that need to be in there, right? A whole bunch of things.
It says that the person, they can get a verbal, what is it?
Oh, well, depending upon the dollar amounts, there are certain requirements for your bids.
Okay.
So, anything over, I think it's, 2,500, you've got to have 3 written quotes for, right?
Okay, everything has to be written, or it doesn't.
And that's what it is. Actually, the previous policy actually used to say verbal, and we said the verbal quotes are not.
Well, I think it
hold no
still
value.
says
So
verbal
So
in
it
here.
says written now. Everything has to be in written. form.
Everything
All
from,
bids.
from 0 to 100.
No, there isn't a bid requirement for anything between 0 and $2,499.
Any bid requirement now has been changed, Kevin, to written. Any bid.
That's not what it says on here, though. I think there are some places where it says written or verbal. So we can look at that later. Thank you.
Oh, is that all the comments? Can we move on?
Yeah, we're gonna need to move on. Okay, so what we're gonna do is make an action item of what the changes were so far. I think that's the consensus so far here as a group. We can talk if you'd like later, tomorrow, whatever. And then if we wanna do a deeper dive, I'm sorry, I don't have this on. If we wanna do a deeper dive into this, I suggest, and that's exactly what Jameson was saying, is we can't make decisions here at study sessions or discussion items. So we have to make decisions at a subcommittee level and go from there. So there'll be an action item, Brian, I'll have for next meeting then of the changes so far. And then we'll vote on those changes and you can vote yes or no. And then we'll go further into it if the board feels like we should. Okay, how's that sound? We good?
This is a
I-
sophisticated and complicated project we're undertaking, and I think we should commend each other for the effort we're putting into it. But what's going to happen is that as we understand something anew from a different point of view, we might find ourselves feeling the need to say, hold on there. Let's go back and look at this another way because we just discovered something we didn't think before. Now, I don't know what that is. I'm talking conceptually. But I'm also talking about an attitude that we would have for approaching one another and what our ultimate goal is and how we get 11 managers trained and worry about their humanity and they're worried about being criticized or something. It's a matter of getting them to wear the suit and wear it comfortably. And maybe they all have meetings to talk about how they stay within their budgets and what they do and teach each other things. Those aren't things we're talking about now, but there's a lot of stuff that can grow out of it that makes it work.
Okay.
You can have the 10 Commandments there, but if you don't study them and review yourself, nothing happens.
All right, thank you, Bill. All right, next one, we have a discussion item on the Communications Commission. Treasurer Flavin, I think it was the last meeting or the meeting before, anyway. You read a statement, Kevin. It basically stated you were wondering why we don't have a Communications Commission, I believe. I don't want to, you can give us the Cliff Note version if you'd like, but I think we heard that statement that you read last time, or which meeting that was, and I wanted to put this on a discussion item so we can talk about it and get it out there and see what we're doing in our communications department. So, would you like to start, Kevin?
So what I said at the 2 meetings ago, the Communication Commission is not just about overseeing a newsletter or social media. The purpose of the Communication Commission is to develop and oversee a budget, strategies, policies, and content priorities for a comprehensive communication program for the township using all mediums of communication, including cable TV, website, social media, print newsletter, e-newsletter, electronic messaging, cell phone notifications, print media advertising, articles for print media, direct mail, etc. The Communications Commission is comprised of members of the community to ensure that the township communication program is meeting the needs and expectations of a majority of islanders while providing a regular, consistent forum for all members of the community to offer input. Groseal has a commission form of township government. The ordinance that the board voted for has clear rules and policies The committees are a check and balance on the power of the elected board. And please see Chapter 6-7, Article 10, if you would like further details on how this works. And it does, explains it, this is what we voted on, and that's what the expectation would be.
Okay. Who'd like to start then? I have something to say, but I'll wait. It's just what I did when I came in as supervisor. I'm sorry, James, you have something?
I can weigh in when you're ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No.
So I don't oppose the establishment of the Communication Commission in the in all of what Kevin said there. I think that's all good things. I have some concerns though. My first concern would be the composition of the Communication Commission. And we don't exactly have like a lot of 20, 30-year-olds knocking down the doors of Township Hall to join commissions. And I feel like it should fairly represent the population of the township, especially because I wouldn't want to see a bias towards print media and GITV, which are both arguably probably dying forms of media. I would want to see more of a bias towards modern electronic communications that the bulk majority of folks are using nowadays. I'm also concerned about the authority for release. So if we have a communications commission, and that communication commission, what they run all of the pages and the website and everything else, so there's no township employee involved. Who is the decider as to what gets released, what gets put out, what's approved? Because traditionally communications would come from the clerk's office. So that's currently what Brian is doing by being the communicator. He is also the by proxy of being in the clerk's office, he is authorized to make public releases, right? And then as far as a check and balance on the authority of the township board, I don't think that any commission outside of ZBA is an actual check and balance on the authority of the board. The authority of the board is, unimpeachable in regard to all that. So I would support the establishment of a communication commission, but I want the right people on it, and I need there to be clear definitions of their roles and authorities.
Good. Yeah, who else would like to comment? Mickey, go ahead.
I actually think the comments or all the communication I think is the best that I've seen in years. And I thought that was really nice that Jenna wrote that letter about you, Brian. I think you and I also think Margaret have worked really hard to get it where it's at. I know I get contacted every time it's getting ready to be prepared asking, do I want anything for the fire commission? Do I want anything for, open space? And then I contact my chairs there or my managers. And it just seems to flow really well. And if you do have a commission, you got to watch because a lot of the things that we want out there are time sensitive. And so if you have a commission and it's got, 5 people, 7 people, whatever, is that going to slow down the forms of communication? So that would be one of my concerns. I just don't think a commission is needed anymore as long as these two are willing to keep doing what they're doing.
Okay, Mickey, thank you. Who else before I go?
Okay, I'd like another try here.
Fire away, buddy.
What we're dealing with here is a new idea. And I was listening to Jameson and I found a lot of thought in there that I like. When we have those kinds of things, I think there's opportunity for us to try to build a collective spirit that asks questions about what do we want to do? Why do we want to do that? Why do we like that? And those are guidelines to how we choose to staff something for the future, or how we choose to decide what is or is not permissible release. When you have goals and you have people who are skilled in those goals, I would bet you that there's somebody in this community that has worked for some large corporation in communications some way. They know how to put together a press release. They know how to talk about something that they want to present to the community with a favorable point of view, or to present to the community when it all was not well and you had to make the best of a bad circumstance. If you have these kinds of thoughts in what you're putting together and staff it with people who have experience with that, much like what we've been fortunate enough to get with the Bridge Commission, those people know what they're doing. We will then have I'm throwing that out as an idea for working for the future, okay?
All right. Thank you, Bill. Let me just say a few things, and then Margaret, did you say, or
Nope, you can go.
somebody down there? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. When I came in as supervisor, I wanted some changes in the communications department. And I'm not gonna say these changes wouldn't have happened if we had a communications commission, but I went directly to Brian, and Brian listened to me graciously. I said I wanted events videoed. I wanted the parents to see their kids in the parades. I wanted to have the people see Groseal events go on where they've really missed it. And those are some of the things that were sent in to me that they miss in the communications. And the first thing, what did Brian do? He started having, is it Mike that does? I'm sorry, Brian, but is it Mike that does the outside video?
Yeah, Mike and Lori both.
Mike and Lori. I'm sorry, I missed Lori. So first thing we did is first event that came in, it was a parade, I remember. And Brian had it done, and it was on GITV for people to see. This is the first time we had supervisor push-outs. I went to Brian, and I said, this is what we're going to do. Brian says, good idea, let's do it. And we started putting the push-outs mainly it was for the bridge issues, and anything big was coming on to Groseal, and we still do them. All the toll bridge issues, Brian made a separate, and I'm not an IT person, so I apologize if I'm saying this incorrectly, but a separate page or a separate site on our website that you would go to click on, and everything was there from the toll bridge, everything that we could put on. There was website changes. There was all kinds of changes that I was very happy with that I wanted to see, and unfortunately, I am one of the board members. I just happen to be the township supervisor, and am in the office more than most, but that's my job, and I have no problem with that. But Brian acquiesced and helped me out, and Margaret also was part of it, that she helped me out when there's certain things I wanted. They got together, and I'll be darned, it happened quickly, efficiently, and the way that it should be done. Now, I'm not downing a commission. I agree with Jameson. I have no problem if we get a commission, but the last area that I'd like to talk about, unfortunately, is, and please, if I'm wrong with these numbers, you got to correct me, but I only saw like 2 or 3 applications that came in to the commission at one point. And I don't know if that's the correct number that came in, but I'm not sure that that's enough for a commission. For 3 people, but it is what it is. And I would just like to say that I have no problem getting something back out there and getting a commission. But what I see running right now, I don't know how we could better it. Everything has been done that I've requested, that I see that we weren't doing here as a township. And unfortunately, once again, I'm not throwing the supervisor's card in, but what I'm telling you is, as the township supervisors, there's certain things that I would like to see done, and they were done immediately and without an issue with Brian and without an issue with Margaret together. So that's my thoughts on this, and I'm not saying I'm not in favor of one, but as things are running right now, I'm very happy with how they're running. I'm not sure, and Bill, I'm not going against what you're saying, but marketing individual, marketing Groseal isn't what we're in the middle of right now.
Joe, could I reply to you when you're done there?
Well, sure you can. I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
And when I'm done, you can.
I'm sorry, Joe.
No, I'm joking with you. Don't worry. I'll be done in a second. I know I'm
No.
taking a lot of your time up here. But I'm just saying there are people out there that maybe have some interest in the Communications Commission. They have some experience and expertise, and that would be great. But at this point in time, the very last thing I want to mention before we get into that, Bill, is I know where the money went to. The money went to, unfortunately, Margaret knocking the police department, but we didn't want to lay off anybody, and we had to hit the budget. And I know the money that went to the Communications Commission, I'm positive, went to the police department because all the other areas of the general fund that had some savings went to balance the budget. And I believed in my heart that the police department on Grosse Ile, forget I came from there, that doesn't matter, but police and fire, we need to stay intact. And I thought it was more important because the money that went to the communications department, I'm sorry, to the, it would be the communications department. I know we used it. I talked with Teresa on that, and I know it went there before. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on this. Bill, you said you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, there was one comment I just wanted to share, another thought that I hadn't articulated. If you know what you want to do, then you kind of know who you want to do it with you. And what happens then is you go and you say, Joe, I've got this idea about trying to help this community with this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? You've got experience in this, that, and the other thing. I could ask you a question and you could give me an answer in 3 minutes, and other people wouldn't know what to do if I gave them 3 years. You have an opportunity to help this community, and I think you'd feel good about it. We give it some thought. You've complimented somebody, you've recognized his abilities, they get in and get it done. And I've used that in my life, and it works.
All right, thank you. Anybody else, any comments on this? Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, yeah, I think a commission, I'm kind of indifferent either way, but I believe it could be a source of, to support, help support. Right now, I think that Brian and Margaret are doing well with it, but to Mickey's point earlier, so long as they're willing to keep doing this, things are fine, but eventually Brian's gonna be done. You know, he's gonna retire, whatever the case may be. All of us here, we could change on next cycle, who knows? So I think a commission would actually just be a help of be more of a support base for it and help keep it rolling forward after this board is gone and after Brian decides to move on and things like that, so. But I'm indifferent with it either way, whether we have one, we don't have one. If we decide not to have one, we gotta take it, rescind it, get it out of the books. If we do have one, then we should move forward with it.
All right, very good. Any other comments on this?
Yeah, so I really am struggling with the fact that everything that was said is what's currently being done, short of, to Jameson's point. And even then, GITV, every time there's a parade, every time there's something, it goes on to GITV. Every flyer, it's on there. We can't do, mail to print or print to mail because it's very expensive. I manage data at a very high level for a living. I understand how security works. I understand how the security works in my firm, my company, and I also know for a fact that only Brian, to also answer Jameson's question, which I'm sure he's aware as well, but only Brian will be able to make changes to social media, to any of those applications, to any of those platforms. I can't help him. Even though I know how, I cannot help him because this has to be managed without any form of bias, and it has to be managed by a township employee. That's how data security should work. I understand that. I think there might be a gap in knowledge for some people there. I'm not exactly sure what the role of the commission would be doing any differently than we're doing at the moment. I put out emails, as does Brian, monthly, and ask not only board members, and not to call anybody out, but I've only had one that's actually provided things. We could easily get other things that I could put on there from every department myself, and I have no issue doing it, but I think it's rather telling that the person that continues to complain about things like this, I'm not sure what input you've provided with respect to township communications. So every month people are asked. Every month you could provide something. I say the same thing. I put something out on social media. Is there anything residents would like to see done differently? They're more than welcome to provide input. I've gotten input that's very positive. So I understand why this has resurfaced. When I first came on board, members of the Taxpayer Association strongly urged me to create this communications commission. Before I fully understood, what it would really be, what value it would have, I did ask that we reinstate this. And then I had conversations, so I did this backward, obviously, had conversations with our department manager, who is actually the expert in all of this. And we found that there were things just like our supervisor just explained. I asked for changes to the website. Brian made changes to the website. I suggested different changes to be put on a front page to simplify things for our residents. That immediately happened. We've discussed next steps for the website. We've benchmarked other township websites. We don't have the funding, and that's called managing our budget, which we do. So the more important things we're focusing on. We have to get this sound system done. There are issues with it. We know those have to be addressed, or we could have problems in the boardroom. So we do understand how to manage our budget. It's rather unfortunate that things like this, and this is what I'm talking about, shouldn't be said aloud as if somebody isn't competent enough to do their job. I trust every one of our department managers, as does their actual manager. I don't understand what the issue is with trusting people when we have the final vote. So getting back to this communications commission, if we have people that are interested in this, and I felt that I wasn't going to be wasting their time every month, because I don't know what I would have them doing at this point. I truly do not. So if that's the case, if we have an issue with the fact that we're not filling this commission, I don't know if I should go out there with a sign every day and walk down Macomb and say, join our communications commission. But short of that, perhaps we do need to just vote in December and shut the commission down, and we'll just continue working the way we are, because somebody's not telling me what's broken. And I don't know that it's broken. I think we're doing a really fabulous job. So that's why I'm frustrated.
All right, thank you, Margaret. So what we're gonna have to do, once again, being a discussion item, we can't make decisions tonight. I think that this has to be done in an action item at one of the next meetings if somebody wants to bring it up.
Bring up what?
An action item
To close it down.
Well, to make a decision either way.
No, to close what down? No, to say, do we accept applications again and see how?
Well, I think this is a matter of leadership, and if I were in the leadership position, I would work diligently until I found people that were willing to work and be on a communication commission. And part of what the commission does, in my mind, is they come up with some of the ideas of what they would like to see and where they would like to progress to. It's like having a bridge commission with you and Derek, or having a police commission with just the liaison and somebody else. So it's clear here that the ordinance says the township communication media remains politically neutral, unbiased in content. And I do appreciate what Brian Friel has done, and I appreciate what Margaret has done. But I think the point is, there's a reason we're a commission-based government. The commissions are among the checks and balances of what we do. If I had an article that I wanted to put in and gave it, and it was critical or the two people have the pause, they can shut it down if they don't like what I've written. So I think it's more important that there's a group of taxpayers that have a say in what and how we're spending their money and what we're disseminating.
Have you given us an article to submit? Have you put anything in, like for instance, the tax bills are coming out in December. Have you mentioned that? Have you given anything that's like, here residents, here's some information for you from the finance department?
I appreciate
No.
you asking that. What I'm asking for is, I think the commission should have, as it says in the ordinance, we should be following the ordinance and have a commission.
You are complaining without providing any support. You
Okay,
do
let's
this
do
every
this.
time.
Let's do this. Again, we're gonna go round and round on this, on our opinions, and our opinions don't matter at this point, because what we need is, someone get a hold of me. If you'd like an action item to vote on, we move forward with getting a commission. We don't have one right now. So it's not like I can just snap my fingers and make it happen.
Can I put forward to put it on for the next meeting to eliminate the committee?
You can put forward whatever you like, just get a hold of me. And then we just vote on it. It's an action item. You can, that's,
Okay, I'll do it right now.
send me a candygram, whatever you want.
I'm gonna
Just
do it right now, Joe.
Singing telegram.
let me know.
Do that.
Okay. And we'll move forward. Any other issues, we'll talk about it and we'll vote on it. And that's why there's 7 people sitting up here. Okay, Jameson, you're up on your clerk's report. We are done for our discussion items.
Well, we were fortunate not to have a November election, so that was good news for the clerk's department and the various citizen volunteers that assist with elections. But don't worry, we're going to have some in 2026. So tomorrow is Veterans Day. I think, the reception, somebody said, I was at a conference recently and somebody said something to me about this. So I wanted to bring it up. So the reception that in particular our Korean and Vietnam veterans received when they got home was not the same as the reception modern veterans receive, right? They didn't drive a plane underneath a bunch of fire hoses and walk off in their dress uniforms where everybody was waving American flags and shaking their hands, right? So somebody pointed out to me that on Veterans Day, let me back up a second. So for a long time, you didn't see Vietnam veterans wear Vietnam veteran hats. They just didn't. They weren't proud of it because the country wasn't proud of their service. But they do now. So if you see a Vietnam or Korean veteran tomorrow, and you won't see them for much longer, make sure, shake their hand, thank them for their service, buy them a coffee, or just welcome them home, because they really didn't get that 50 years ago. So I serve on the Rec Commission. The Rec Commission did not meet this month, but will again next month. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee will meet on the 3rd Thursday this month, where I think we will probably continue to discuss e-bikes. I'm sorry, the e-bike thing is just killing me. Anyway, we're putting together a program to help deal with the Type 3 e-bikes, which are the fast ones. So, and we'll work on that.
Spoke to the gentleman that is in charge of it, or been assigned to it. That's all I'm gonna tell you. So we had a little talk.
Okay. So, a couple of things from our discussions today. I think Derek pointed out something relevant when he mentioned, hey, we made a checklist and we expect managers to follow it, and if they don't, it's an employee performance issue. I agree with that 100%, right? Like, as a manager or a department head in any industry, if someone gives you a checklist, you can't follow it, that's an employee performance issue, right? And you don't need a higher level manager checking all of their work all the time. And if they fail to meet the requirements, then, they will be dealt with appropriately. So I think that was a good approach. I like the checklist, and I think you're right. People need to follow the checklist. They're managers for a reason, because they've shown the potential and capability to lead at that level, and we just need to hold people accountable to do so, right? We don't need another layer of bureaucracy, I don't think. And then regarding policies and procedures, if it's the will of this board to do a policy and procedure overhaul, like I said, we're not going to be able to do it in this boardroom, right? The 7 of us can't sit up here and debate it. We'll never get anywhere. So we need people that are interested in it and want to do it, and subcommittees to tackle that. But the policies and procedures for this board are essentially house rules, because there is no means for this board to limit its own authority, right? So we couldn't pass an ordinance saying that future boards couldn't do something or we couldn't do something. So it's important that we remember the policy and procedure is written for the administration, the act of governance performed by the employees of Grosse Ile Township. And we can make policies and procedures and house rules for ourselves as a board, but it's just us saying we agree on these things and we want to follow these rules, right? So I think that's important to remember that it's the administration, right? The branch of government up here that we're writing policies and procedures for. And back to you, Uncle Joe.
All right. Treasurer Kevin, you're up.
Treasurer's report for November 10th, 2025. 2025 winter tax data is being compiled and winter tax bills will be mailed out during the first week of December. The due date for the winter tax bill is February 17th, 2026. Those who qualify may apply for a deferment of the 2025 winter tax due date. This deferment will extend the due date of February 17th, 2026 to April 30, 2026. Please contact the Treasurer's Office for inquiries or to receive a deferment form. The deferment form, which shows the qualifications, is also on our Treasurer's website at grosseille.com. All property owners will be mailed the original winter tax billing. Mortgage companies requesting bills for escrow accounts they hold are mailed duplicated copies of the billing. If you are unsure that your mortgage company has requested your tax bill to pay, please contact the Treasurer's Office to confirm. And 2026 pet tags are now available at the Treasurer's Office. The fee is currently $6. Please bring certification of valid rabies vaccination when purchasing the 2026 dog tags. And thank you to everybody for supporting your community and paying your taxes. And to the veterans out there who have given everything, we remember them and thank Jameson for his work.
All right, trustees report. Bill.
We're fortunate to have the people we have on the commissions that I liaison with. Janel tonight, I think, demonstrated, and maybe because I'm a little more familiar, maybe more excited about what she's accomplishing. But large sums of money have come to the airport to keep it running. But she does more than that. If you look, you'll see there's been a large number of events that have been taking place here where people come and do what it is their club or organization fosters. Those tell the people who give grants that we make something work with the money they've spent to improve the place. She knows what she's doing. I can turn around and say in like manner, if you want to come over to the Planning Commission, those people know what's going on. John Schweikert is a very intelligent man. All of those people have worked with each other a good period of time. And I rest basically easy with the thoughts that they give prudent thought to the issues that come to them. And day after day, they handle them. I'm thankful that they are on our commissions. Thank you.
All set?
Yes,
Thank you.
Joe.
For the fire department, the meeting this week is canceled, so their next meeting is December 11th at 5 p.m. And at that one, there will be another pinning ceremony for another firefighter who completed training in the probationary period. For open space, we don't meet in December, so the next meeting is January 6th at 7 p.m. We're going to be putting up more trail signs to make it easier to follow the paths. Some of those paths get a little hard to follow, and we even had a member who got a little turned around. So we are running low on budget, so we'll be putting in for a small millage next year to the voters. One of the things that came up is whether we would consider increasing fines for encroachment. So I'll get into that more later offline. For the Grosville Nature and Land Conservancy, they had their annual meeting and they elected 3 new board members. This Saturday, they're gonna have animal tracks and scat at the Resource Center on Macomb at 1 o'clock. December 9th, they're gonna have birds and holiday traditions from 6 to 7:30 at the Resource Center. And just so you know, the trails at the Airport Natural Area will be closed for November and December for a Grosville Township maintenance project. And as far as Veterans Day, I was passing somebody moving in on my street and I helped them get something off their truck and he goes, wow, that's an early Veterans Day present for me. It really does matter to them when you say, you know, to thank them for their service. So thank you both and happy Veterans Day tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Margaret?
Free food?
So just like to also say, I want to take a moment to thank all the veterans in our community and beyond. Tomorrow, as we all know, is Veterans Day, and I think it's important to express, at least for myself, my tremendous appreciation for the service to our country. And I want to say a direct thank you to my brother, who's a Marine veteran, Jameson, Kevin Counts, Bill Heil, their dedication to protection and defense for our rights, as well as their sacrifice for our country, and the sacrifice of their families as well. We all should be truly grateful, so I want to thank you all. We have a police commission meeting on November 18th, and we're going to continue to review and develop the budget to support staffing. We have a lot of serious concerns. And you know, I want to make this point. There's a lot of misinformation that gets stated. And neither myself nor Brian Friel make unilateral communication decisions. Emails have been sent requesting input from every township manager, every board member. I've requested residents provide input on many things. And if we receive things, we make sure that those are input into the newsletter. But we do far more than just the newsletter. I want to be really clear. I consistently engage in township operations. Normally, I wouldn't even mention this, but I review commission meetings that are not my own. And I'm going to give an example. DPS. I watched a DPS meeting where the DPS chairman was very concerned at the fact that Meridian Road was not on the construction list for Wayne County. The next day, I called up our township manager and asked him if he would like me to have a conversation with my person in Warren Evans' office. Derek was amenable to that. He said, any help you can provide, we would appreciate. I did that. Within 2 days, we were on the construction list, and Meridian Road was going to be repaired and has been repaired. So when somebody wants to make statements and question leadership skills, yet I'm really not seeing anything specific with respect to progress from that same person or attacking the leadership skills of Brian Friel. I have serious issues with this. So I am going to start saying these things out loud. We cannot keep making statements without facts to back them up.
Okay. Mark?
First, I don't want to say Happy Veterans Day to all those who've served and those who are continuing to serve. Special thanks and shout out to my wife, my father, and my brother, and the folks here on this board as well, Jameson and Bill. Thank you very much for your time and your service and your dedication and devotion and losses you've all felt over time. I said on the zoning board, we don't have anything planned for November as of yet. I have not received any correspondence. I did reach out today to Mr. Brock, and we have nothing scheduled at this moment. That could change. I just want to let all the citizens know and the residents know here that our zoning board members now have IDs, picture IDs. So if you have somebody coming to your property saying they're on the zoning board, they're going to have an ID to show you. So you don't have to be alarmed about somebody walking on your property. They should announce themselves first to you and then show you the ID so that you'll feel comfortable with them walking through your property and checking out whatever we need to check out at that time for that particular case. I think I'm just gonna leave it there for now. I think everybody's probably had enough for the night, so I'll conclude with that.
Thank you, Mark. Derek?
Just a quick couple items, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. DPS Commission has a meeting tomorrow in this room at 7 o'clock, so tune in if you're interested. Regarding DPS yard waste service, just a reminder to the residents, and we'll do a push on this as well. December 15th and 16th are the last 2 days of yard waste service for the calendar year. They will, following Christmas, pick up garland and Christmas trees, but your leaf bags and whatnot, the last dates for those services are the 15th and the 16th. The Bridge Commission is going to be changed. That meeting date's going to be changed to the 24th of November. There was a conflict with scheduling. So if you're interested in the Bridge Commission for the month of November, tune in on the 24th rather than, I believe, the 18th, I think, was the previously scheduled date. The Bridge Commission recently did interviews of staffing proposals or staffing company proposals for bridge operations. So I believe they will be taking up that topic on the 24th, as well as the development of an ordinance which will address the regulation of toll bridge usage by patrons, residents. Everything that we do is governed by ordinance, so we have to establish rules and regulations via ordinance for that bridge. Previously, that was all handled by the private owner, but now that we're a public owner, it's owned by the public, we have to adopt an ordinance for that, so we'll be discussing that as well. That is all that I have for this evening, and I know there were comments about Veterans Day. It is going to result in a closure for Township Hall tomorrow, so the offices here will not be open for tomorrow. That's all I have.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Actually, you've hit both of the issues I had. I think we've said enough tonight. I'm gonna forego anything that's left. We're gonna go to public comment. Anybody from the public? Yes, sir. Come on up there, Mr. Bob. Give your name and why you're up so late here. I appreciate that. Is that why? I knew there was a reason. All right.
First of all, am I on?
Yeah,
The green is, okay.
you're good.
Bob Z, Moxlow. I too would like to comment just briefly on the different,
Can't hear it.
service.
Get your mic. Check your mic.
Oh, wrong button, sorry. Also, I would like to compliment the board on their decision tonight to move forward with the entrance audit. Looking at a few $1,000s that could be very beneficial for a $12 million budget, I think is something worth pursuing. Also, on the communications, and I'm not up here to irritate anybody. Township government is built on commissions. You are the approval board. It is the commissions that are the backbone of township government. Where would I be without a police commission? Where would I be without a fire commission? I'd be in trouble. Communications is very important. I don't have a communications commission. I voted for that. I supported it when a lot of you people were supporting it when you came on. I still support it. I compliment you on what you've done so far, but I still feel we could do a lot better. If anybody's got any comments or questions on what I've said up here tonight, I'm leaving myself open. Thank you.
Bob, thank you. All right. I think that is it. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Can't. We are done at 9.